there's really different types of challenges in this business. I mean, the challenge from the construction point of view probably scares me the least. The challenge from the relationship with an owner or an owner who's actually trying to take advantage of us, those are the most difficult because you're up there, you're thinking to yourself, why? You know, why are they doing this? You know, we had, I'm thinking, wasn't Lee on the MOB up in not Market Commons, but in Merle's Inlet with Dwayne for a while?
Yeah.
So one of the more interesting things was we had an MRI on the way, and you have to keep the magnet cool. All right, so they fill them with helium, and that gives you 48 hours. And before the 48 hours is up, you have to get them hooked up to cryogen to keep it from overheating. The machine was on the way. We had this huge mass of concrete that was down in a pit for a specialized foundation. You had shielding all the way through the pit, so the concrete sitting on top of the shielding, copper shielding all the way around up into the walls, and then you had false walls built inside of it. Well, the mechanical guys went to sweat a joint pipe together with a torch, and heat set off the sprinkler in the MRI room. We found out rather quickly that you can send an MRI to a place to put it on a life support, which we did to the tune of about $10,000. Michael was, of course, very excited, and as you can well imagine. So I jumped in my truck and I left here, and I'm thinking on the way up there, we got this, I can't remember, it was like 10 feet by 20 foot, about 2 foot thick piece of concrete that we had to get out of there so that we could redo the shielding, because as soon as it got wet, it was ruined. And I'm thinking as I'm riding up there, and I was like, I think I know what I can do. So I've had this relationship with this house mover. I called Glenn up. I said, hey, can you meet me in Merle's Inlet?
Thinking on your feet.
Yeah. And he said, I'll be there in a little bit. So he got down there. We had this big meeting about what we were going to do, and you know, they were now losing revenues, all of this stuff, because they couldn't put this machine in. Plus it was costing us $10,000 for the first month for it to be on life support. So I said, I got an idea, let's go downstairs. And Glenn met me down there, and I said, I need to pick that up inside this room high enough and safely enough that we can get a man under there and take that shielding out and put new shielding in. He was like, no problem. And he came in there, and we snaked these beams in there and came up with an attachment to the slab. And he has these jacks for house moving where he can hook the jack up to one control, and when he turns it, all of them go up the same. So we pick it up, put railroad ties under the beams, let the jacks down, set them up, pick them up, and we hung that slab of concrete in there. Got in, got shielding out, put the new shielding in, set it back down, and 28 days later we were putting the machine in the room.
Oh, wow.
So that's
It's a bit of a nail biter, though.
It is, but you know, I probably enjoy that type of stuff the most, because you can think outside the box and come up with ways to make it happen. I mean, my father said one time, he said the one thing about you is if there's a hog in the ditch, you'll get him out. And it might not be the right way, but you will get him out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure there were 100 other ways to do that.
Yeah.
But we had the resources, the people, the know-how, picked it up. Now, I mean, we had it up in days.
That's crazy. So challenges aren't obstacles to you. They're opportunities to you work it out.
Some challenges are. You know, when you run into, I think one of the things that I had the most difficulty with was we were, you know, I was naive. I didn't know anything about running a business. And you're getting started, you don't have any money. I mean, I started a business, I got married, we started having children. And, you know, you had nothing. And I was getting going, and it was probably the third year we went in business, and I got a big job for Wellman over in Johnsonville. I mean, it was like acres of concrete. So I'd hired all these people. That was when I hired Dwayne Pope. Hired all these people, and you know, I went from, I don't know, 10 employees to 75.
That's a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
And so we're just chugging along, and I'm able to make payroll, and we're going along. Well, we're in at that point for the first 3 years, you're in the assigned risk pool for workman's comp. I didn't think anything about it. And I got this call from this young woman down in Boca Raton, Florida. I'll never forget it. And she said, Mr. Moses, we've been going over your information, and we had somebody come and do an audit for your workman's comp. You owe us $40,000 in premiums for last year and a down payment of $50,000 for next year. I said, ma'am, I don't have that kind of money. She said, I don't care. She said, you have 3 days to get me that money, or you will no longer have workman's comp, which meant I'd no longer be in business. And I remember hanging the phone up and thinking, I don't have a clue what to do. I don't have that kind of money. And my dad ain't gonna loan it to me, and my partner didn't have that kind of money. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I remember just walking around and trying to figure it out. And finally I said, what the hell? I picked the phone up and I said, look, I don't have that kind of money. I said, how about I get you $20,000 this week? In 2 weeks, I'll get you $20,000 more. In 2 more weeks, I'll get you to 50. She said, okay, I'll do that. So I got her to 20, and immediately went to work trying to find somebody that would insure me that I did not have to pay an enormous premium for the next year. I could just pay on a monthly basis. And I found somebody. So I got her to 20, and 2 weeks later I got her the next 20, and then I got this guy to start carrying our insurance, and I could pay him monthly after that. But I can tell you, I've never been caught short on workman's comp again.
Yeah. Well, again, problem solving, just sitting down going, all right, well, because there's nothing like getting that phone call that you did not expect for an expense that you cannot handle. Couldn't dream of covering it. Yeah.
I don't even remember to this day where I came up with those $20,000. I mean, I don't. I mean, I know I had some savings, although not much. I had some equity in my house. I don't remember if I took out another loan on my house, if I borrowed money from something else. I don't know. I don't remember where I got it. I just remember I got it.
Yeah.
And when I talked to her, I had no idea where I was going to come up with it. I just knew I had to do something. But
it bought you time to also figure it out.
That's right. 30 years last month. We started October of 1990.
October of
with $50,000. And there were 3 of us and a bookkeeper. We had 2 computers.
Yeah. When did Denise come on?
We had been through several bookkeepers and couldn't find them. And my wife and Denise had worked together. So not long after Susan and I got married. And we would lose a bookkeeper, and I'd call Denise. She had a job with somebody else. And I'd say, hey, would you like to come to work for me? I'm just not ready to leave yet. We'd hire somebody else. It might last a year, it might last 3 years, it might last a week. And I'd call Denise, are you ready to come to work? No, I'm not ready to come to work yet. So then we had this woman that had been with us for a while, and she got sick and had to quit. I literally went through a bookkeeper a week.
That's a nightmare.
It was a nightmare. And this is when we probably had 75 to 80 employees and you had to have payroll ready Wednesday night so I could disperse it Thursday morning to get it to the guys on the jobs. It would never happen. And I picked up the phone and I called Denise and I said, are you ready? She said, funny you should call. And she has been with me for 20 years.
Yeah, I'm wanting to try and get her, but Michael says it might be a hard sell. But
it might be. She has been a saving grace. She really has. Well, I tell people, well, I can tell you this, she can sign on more of my personal accounts than my wife can. I tell people she and I are like an old married couple. I mean, She comes back here and she stomps in this office. She looks at me across the desk, and I'm like, okay.
Yes, ma'am. You got it. You got it. No problem.
Whatever you need. But
If there was a Coastal Structures Hall of Fame,
I would say James Britton would probably be one of probably the top. JB. JB and I worked together for probably 5 years before I started Coastal. And he has been here all 30 years. I think there's only 2, maybe 3 employees with the company that our employee number is an actual number.
yeah,
Everybody else are letters. And so, because we got to a point where we had to move from numbers to letters years ago. JB's one of the numbers. I'm a number. I think I'm number 2, and I think JB's number 5. He's one of those guys that did not have the benefit of a lot of things coming up, but he can organize a job like nobody else. He can run a job. When it comes to concrete and what his forte is, I don't know of anybody better. I just don't. And he taught me, there were 2 of them. That was JB and Theodore that were with me for years. But JB, there's just something, he can be aggravating, oh my gosh. But getting a job done and figuring out how to make it happen and making money on it, he is just, and I'm sure there's just a place in my heart for him because we've been together for so long.
yeah.
I remember we were both, he's 60, I'm 61, he's 67. And I think I was in my mid-20s and he was just 31 or so when we met the first time.
Yeah.
And we've pretty much been together some way, shape, form ever since.
Yeah.
He would be way up there. Dwayne Pope's another one. Dwayne's been with me. I mean, when I first moved to Georgetown and went to work for a construction company, I was Dwayne Pope's assistant superintendent. 10 years later, he was working for me.
Yeah.
And has been for years. He left for a little while, decided he wanted to just go into something totally different. And I remember running into his wife. I don't know if it had been a year, how long it had been. We ran into each other at a restaurant over in Johnsonville, and I said, well, how's Dwayne doing? He ready to come back to work yet? It was another one of those, funny you should ask. And it wasn't long.
Timing.
He was back here
Yeah.
and has been ever since.